Welcome to My Awesome Empire. This week, we meet two great people who have helped Inland Empire kids become great, and the youngest kid hero we've ever welcomed. Bobby Avila had a tough time growing up in San Bernardino, but he loved making music. By the time he was an adult, he shared his love for music with his own sons and made history. His Inland Empire family has 4 Grammys and a love that is perfectly in tune. We meet Bobby later in our show. What's so awesome about Mentone? A local 4-year-old tells us. But first, we meet the lady behind the Renaissance Scholars Program. Now celebrating its 10th anniversary, this innovative program helps foster kids who, through perseverance, have made it to college. This program provides every aspect of life needed to help those foster kids make it to cap and gown. Earlier this week, Cal State San Bernardino communications student Alasia Gowai sat down with Veronica Amerson, the program's director, and asked where the idea for such a program all began.
Well, the EOP program, which is the Educational Opportunity Program, has actually been around since 1969. But since we're focusing on the foster youth program, let me just share a little bit about how that all came about. The EOP program itself, its mission is to provide access to higher education to disadvantaged students. Really, that's the foundation of the program. And in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a mandate that came, a legislative mandate, where state legislators were really pushing to make sure that this at-risk population, which is foster youth students, had access to higher education. So they looked upon CSUs, UCs, community colleges at the time and really charged them to provide specialized programs to serve foster youth. And since the EOP program has been providing access to higher education to disadvantaged students, it was a very natural fit for EOP programs across the state to start building these types of programs. We had already been serving foster youth for a period of years. It was just a matter now that they were going to be very specialized services that were going to be offered to this population.
How do these foster kids come to your attention?
Well, one of the services that the EOP program offers is outreach. And so we are very strategic. Every year, we get together with our EOP counselors. We look at the K through 12 school districts that are serving students in the area, local and outside area. And so once we kind of identify where those pocket of population of students are, then we intentionally go out to those high schools and recruit students from those schools to expose them that there is a program here that serves low-income disadvantaged students and offers comprehensive services. So in addition to the outreach that we do to students, going to their classrooms at the high school level and participating in events that promote college, whether it be in elementary or middle school level, we also work in partnership with a lot of our child welfare agencies in the community and go out to them and share with them the type of services that we provide. So if there's current social workers or other folks in the community that are serving as mentors to this population of students, and they see that there's potential in a student who may benefit in pursuing higher education, then we start building that relationship with them prior to them even thinking about college. So then their social workers or foster parents or other child welfare agency individuals are aware that our program exists and they can encourage them to apply to our program.
It seems like it would be difficult for a foster child to make it into a major university. When they do, what kind of dedication was behind that?
At some point in their lives, there's 2 extremes. One, either they had no one in their life to count on or lean on, and they decided at some point in their childhood or early adulthood that truly they have themselves to count on. So the resilience, the strength, the dedication, perseverance to pursue things really comes from their own resilience and their own dedication. The other extreme, which I see as a constant, is that there's one individual that really made an imprint on their life. Maybe it was an extended family member. Maybe it was a neighbor, a community member, a volunteer, a mentor of some sort. Sometimes it could have been their very own social worker. But I do see both extremes. So there was either one individual that made an imprint in their life and really was a cheerleader and a coach for them and a mentor. And they decided that they didn't want to disappoint that person or make that person proud. And that's what's been motivating to them. But I have to say, in many occasions, in addition to those two things, is often these foster youth come with other siblings that are still in the system. And simply having siblings still in the system is the motivator enough for them to change this cycle and generations of folks after them in hopes that if they're successful, that they can make an impact and a change on their younger siblings.
If you just joined us, you're listening to My Awesome Empire. I'm Alasia Gowai, and we're speaking with Veronica Amerson of the Renaissance Scholars Program at Cal State San Bernardino, which is helping foster kids get the help they need to earn a college degree. Veronica, what kind of program benefits does EOP offer foster students?
Well, I think one of the unique things about the EOP department is that we really use a holistic approach when we work with our students. Oftentimes folks are so focused on the academic side, on what kind of academic services can be offered to students, which is also critical. But we look at our student as a holistic, well-rounded individual. And so we offer comprehensive support services. And what I mean by that is not only do we offer academic advising, academic support, study skill workshops, for example, and tutoring and through our learning center, but in addition to that, our counselors are well-versed in doing personal counseling, which is important. A lot of our population of students that we work with have a lot of things that they need to develop in order for them to be successful and socially, in a place where they can focus on their academics. And so some of the services that we provide in addition to the academic advising is the personal counseling, career counseling, and we also offer opportunities for our students to interact with each other and build a community amongst each other as a student group. It's important for this population of students to feel connected with folks on campus. So we really make it a point to make sure that we're offering social enrichment activities. We have some wonderful donors that have provided our students the opportunity and our staff to participate in museums, for example, Broadway shows or musicals, things that students customarily wouldn't be exposed to. I remember one time, one of our first outings that we did, which was a surprise for me even, we took a group of students over to the Ontario Citizens Bank Arena. And I remember sitting next to a student and driving over, and the student turned to me and was in awe and said, "Wow, where are we? Tell me again where we are, Miss Veronica." And I said, "Oh, we're in Ontario. It's just about 10, 15 minutes away from campus." I've never been here. And so a lot of these students, this particular student, for me, it was an eye-opener to know that some of these students have never even been out of San Bernardino. So being able to expose them to some of the opportunities that we have out here in the community is important for us because they need to see what's beyond this area and the types of experiences that are available out there for them. And it really could spark an interest. Who knows? Maybe somebody can be exposed to some art or some other type of thing that exudes some kind of passion for them, and they decide to enter that field instead of what they're pursuing at the time. In addition to that, what's really important for these students to be retained at the university is for their basic needs to be met. So when I talked about earlier about doing above and beyond, comprehensive services, when you think about the traditional student, a traditional student would potentially have the support oftentimes of maybe one parent or a family member, but most times these students don't. And so a lot of times they don't have year-round housing. And so one of the services that we provide is to make sure that when the campus is closed or there's a holiday break, that these students are continuously housed throughout the academic year. Unfortunately, sometimes our catering services are not open during those winter breaks or during the weekends on the summer months. And so we make sure, in addition to them being housed year-round, we provide grocery cards for them or meals for them to make sure that those basic needs are being met, because it's really tough for a student to focus on housing, food, academics without having housing and food to have available to them to then turn around and focus on their academics.
How many foster kids have you helped make to graduation?
I'm happy to report that since the inception of the program, we have graduated 43 current or former foster youth from our program.
Veronica, you talk about success stories. Well, what is your most cherished memory while working with the Renaissance Scholars Program?
You know, that's a tough question because there's been so many different moments with so many different students. I have to share with you, I think the best way to describe it overall is, and if any of my students now are listening to me that are part of the program, they truly are a gift to work with. It reminds me on a regular basis that not all are privileged, and that these students really have and deserve the same type of opportunities that may be there for other traditional students. And so for me, the cherished part is just simply being a part of an organization that's changing people's lives and bringing hope to them.
After our interview, Veronica introduced us to a recent graduate of the Renaissance Scholars Program, Kevin Gemma, who is already building on his future.
Being an African-American student myself, on the inauguration of President Barack Obama, the first one, I probably was the most saddest and maddest person in America that day because I actually wanted to be the first African-American president.
But instead you're going to be?
The second, but the best. The second, but the best. Yeah, the second.
If you'd like to learn more about or would like to help the Renaissance Scholars Program, contact Veronica, 909-537-5042. You're listening to My Awesome Empire. Up next, we meet the Fontana dad who raised two kids that would go on to become producers for the biggest names in music and win numerous Grammys. Stay with us.
Would you like to open up your home and share the American culture with an international student? The College of Extended Learning at Cal State San Bernardino is seeking local Inland Empire families to host students for programs ranging from 1 week to 5 months. Welcoming an international visitor into your home is an exciting and rewarding experience. By hosting an international student, you allow them to learn about our country, not only in the classroom, but also through the everyday American traditions at your home. This opportunity provides invaluable education to both host families and students, while creating memories and friendships that will last a lifetime. Homestay families are asked to include students into their normal family activities. If this sounds like something you may be interested in, please apply online at cel.csusb.edu/IEP and click on the Host Families link, or call 909-537-5980. That's 909-537-5980. Help make a difference in an international student's life today.
Welcome back to My Awesome Empire. Bobby Avila was born in San Bernardino in the 1950s. After his dad died suddenly, he struggled with everything except his love for music. When he began his own family, he shared that love with his children, Bobby Ross and Iz, who became increasingly involved in their father's recording and performances until they were making their own music. Today, the Avila brothers are the only Latinos to ever have won a Grammy in the urban category. They produce world-famous acts like Janet Jackson, Usher, and Gwen Stefani. And their father is the subject of an upcoming major motion picture based on his own biography, Fathers, The Journey. Earlier this week, Cal State San Bernardino communication major Arnold Robles sat down with the Fontana dad and asked him what sparked his love for music as a boy.
My father. I remember being 9 years old and seeing that piano come into our living room. My dad was so excited. Our next door neighbor introduced Fats Domino and Little Richard and that to my dad, and my dad loved the music, and that's where it started from, on that piano, and just watching my dad teach himself, and I was inspired by music through him.
What was your early career like?
Well, actually, I had some bad experiences. That's what the father's the journey to the Grammys. The book that I wrote is that's what it's all about. Is that my early career and how I got started in music. I ended up in East Los Angeles on a park bench. I had ran away from home, and I had lost my father at the age of 9. 6 months after that piano rolled in, and he was killed in a car accident. And I ended up in East Los Angeles, where my music career started from. One young man who became a longtime friend, Adrian, saw me on a park bench, took me home, and he just so happened playing a band. And I played a little guitar, and he taught me how to play bass. And they had a bass player that wasn't on time. And so, the timing, I was there at the perfect time. And, his dad took me in and kind of raised me for a short period. And I went to Garfield High School, and that's where my music career started from.
When did your boys first become involved in the music?
Well, I would say when the day they were born. I had a plan, if I ever had any sons, that I would nurture their careers and that, and I got them into theatrical, doing commercials and movies, and their music became part of their curriculum, and from there, I started nurturing, teaching them. And when I couldn't teach them anymore, I got the best of the best, to come in and teach them as well. And one day I came back from a gig that at the time I was I had my own groups doing major hotels in Vegas, and one day my oldest son, Bobby Ross, asked me, "Hey, Dad, when am I going to go into the studio?" And I told him, "Well, when I think you're ready." And anyway, I came back from Sacramento. I had got him some drum machines and some keyboards and stuff, and he had 3 songs prepared. And when I heard them, I go, "Okay, we got something to work with, So let's give it a go. We'll see what becomes of it." And anyway, we worked on the songs for about a month and a half, and we came up with some good material, and I decided to give my band a notice, 2-week notice, and that's where we all started from. They worked hard. From the ages of 4 to where they are now. Iz became the drummer for Macy Gray for a couple years, and Bobby, he's been independent, and they became the Avila Brothers. And they formed, and they've been producing great acts like Usher, Mary J. Blige, Shaka Khan, Earth, Wind and Fire, the TLC. I mean, the list goes on and on. They are great musicians. I wish that I was so fortunate, to be as great as they were.
If you just joined us, you're listening to My Awesome Empire. I'm Arnold Robles, and we're speaking with Bobby Avila Sr. of the Inland Empire, father to music producers Bobby and Iz Avila. The two brothers are known for their Grammy Award-winning production of music and currently hold 2 Grammys in the urban category. They've produced music from artists that include Usher, Janet Jackson, and Mary J. Blige. So how long was it before the Avila brothers began to produce other people's music?
They came to a point in their life where now they were ready to go on their own. When they formed, it was actually after the Macy Gray, and Bobby was signed to Warner Brothers, and when they became the Avila brothers. And back when we were signed with RCA, things didn't work out so well there, so we moved on to Perspective. when we left RCA, I was going to go independent. Certain things took place, and so I was going to put the album out on my own. And I just happened to be at the mastering lab, and a call came in right in the middle of our mastering, and it was Terry Lewis. And anyway, I heard Brian Gardner. He was the engineer, and talking about, well, the young kid and his dad are going independent. And so I looked over at him, and he looked at me, and he said, hey, Senior, Terry Lewis wanted to know if you could send him a copy, a DAT of the music. And I go, Terry Lewis, Jimmy Jam? And he goes, yeah. So, man, I looked all over. I said, where did I leave my briefcase? You know, so, and because I had all my videos and all the rest of the stuff that Bobby's done all throughout the years. And anyway, he just happened to call for Karen White stuff. And, you know, Brian sent it. 2 weeks later, I'm signing a deal with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And that's where it all began. They started producing Macy Gray, and then it led to Chaka Khan and Mary J. Blige and Gwen Stefani and on and on. And so that's what led them to making history, you know, getting their Grammys with Usher. Actually, their first nominee was in 2004 for the Confessions album. They got 9 nominees and sold 15 million global. That's where it pretty much all began for them.
Who would you say gave your boys their biggest break?
Well, of course, Pops did. You know, I'm the root. You know, but the ones that actually opened the door to bigger things was Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. You know, Bobby was already known nationwide. You know, because of the New Kids on the Block tour, CC Music Factory, and Tony Tone, and all the tours that we did. You know, he developed a fan base over 5 million, but I have to honestly say that Terry and Jimmy had played a big part in their careers today, and they still work together. They're working on Anthony Hamilton today.
They've actually met President Obama too, haven't they? Tell us about that.
Well, they both have. They had at 2 different times. As Iz was on the OMG tour with Usher, and he's his main DJ. He's been with him for about 8 years now, and they also produced 6 songs off the Confessions album and 4 songs off Raymond versus Raymond, and that's what they got the other Grammy for. But Bobby went, I guess it was called the Red, White, and Blues, and with Booker T, Mick Jagger, Jeff Beck, all legends. And it's ironic because we go back to your question about their musicianship. Jeff Beck, Bobby didn't show up because he was so fascinated at the White House, just, you know, looking at, walking the grounds, and he didn't show up for the rehearsal. Well, Jeff Beck said, hey, you didn't show up for rehearsals. He goes, my dad played all them songs. I know them all. And he goes, yeah, okay, we'll see. And anyway, you know, he at the end of their week and their shows, Jeff Beck came with his man, and Mick Jagger says, you're the greatest musician we've ever played with. And that was a real honor for Bobby, you know. And meeting Obama was an experience for them. And Iz happened to go, I guess, 6 months later with Usher at the, I guess, inauguration, I believe. And they had the ballroom dance in that, and Usher performed in that. So, yeah, it was an experience for them to go to the White House. I mean, you know, it was a proud thing for me, too.
So, speaking of proud moments, what has been your proudest moment as a dad?
Well, outside of music, I have to say them being born. They became my buddies, you know. I taught them how to fish and hunt and stuff, and, you know, we're pretty much an outdoor family, and that was a proud moment to have some sons and then develop, you know, their careers and put them on a pathway that they made my dreams come true. I mean, you know, they chose music, and they made a proud dad out of me, you know. And I think the proudest moment, I have to say, is that when they received their Grammys, that was an emotional part for me, because to be acknowledged and recognized, you know, as the only Latinos to ever receive Grammys in the urban category, man, that's a big plus, you know. And I'm so proud of them.
We heard you're pretty excited about a particular movie that's about to come out. Tell us about that.
Well, after writing and finishing my book in 2004, I was encouraged by friends and a partner that became my partner, Duke Pernat. He's in Thailand now. Introduced me to a scriptwriter, Paula, who wrote the script for Moonlighting, Bruce Willis. But she said, reading your book, she said there's a lot of passion, a lot of drama, a lot of disappointments, and redemption. And she thought that I should write it. So she kind of coursed me into writing the script. It's a very inspirational movie, about, a young kid who went through some turmoil and teenager and as adult. We're not perfect, and that's what the story's about. And there is redemption, there is light at the end of that tunnel, and it's a story that needs to be told. And I've been hearing this from everyone, and that's what we're working on.
Bobby Ross Avila and Have I Done All I Can Do? For more information on Bobby Avila's book, Fathers, The Journey to the Grammys, go to meettheavilas.com. My Awesome Empire continues in just a moment.
Start college as a student. Start growing as a leader. Start your career as an officer. Start strong. When you register to take Army ROTC course electives, you'll be on the path to leadership. You'll also learn lessons that go beyond the classroom. And as an Army ROTC cadet, you may be eligible for full tuition scholarship and a monthly allowance of up to $500. When you graduate and complete Army ROTC, you will leave ready to lead as an officer in the U.S. Army, Army Reserve, or Army National Guard. To find out more, visit your Army ROTC representative. Contact Army ROTC San Bernardino at 909-537-5533 or visit armyrotc.csusb.edu for more information. There's Strong, and then there's Army Strong, paid for by the United States Army.
Welcome back to My Awesome Empire. Apparently, there are a lot of unicorns and glitter in Mentone because as we close our program today, 4-year-old Ashley insists these are just some of the reasons she loves her hometown.
My name is Ashley. Hi, I am 4. I have 2 dogs and it's awesome. I have a lot of dogs. My favorite color is bright pink, and my favorite animal is a unicorn. And I love glitter, and I love the paint. This is why I love Mentone.
Thanks, Ashley. And thank you for joining us today for another My Awesome Empire. Produced entirely by students at Cal State San Bernardino. All of our guests today were suggested by our awesome listeners. Do you know a hero, an awesome kid, or an innovative Inland Empire business? Would you like to sponsor this program and be associated with the greatest heroes and businesses in Southern California? We'd love to hear about it. Write to us, My Awesome Empire at csusb.edu. Thanks to student producer co-hosts Arnold Robles and Alasia Gowai, to engineers Annette Linares, Rocky Giles, and to Chief Production Engineer Arnold Robles. My Awesome Empire is a production of the College of Arts and Letters at California State University, San Bernardino. Until next time, I'm Lacey Kendall. Have an awesome week.